And it's us, the Horror Guys, with episode 294 of Horror Weekly.
Yay!
Yay!
Horror Weekly, eh?
Yes.
All right.
Who are you?
I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian.
And we're going to talk about some horror movies.
We are.
And some shorts.
We are.
Yeah, we saw some good stuff this week.
Yeah. Before we get going, though, the people in the newsletter saw a message that if they want to win a surprise giveaway of A Quiet Place Day 1, they have to listen to the podcast.
Oh.
So let's not make them wait too long.
Free digital copies.
We have 5 digital copies that I don't remember what the streaming service is, but it's totally free. There's no catch involved.
Is it a Redbox?
Yeah, I don't think there is such a thing as a Redbox.
No more Redbox? Okay.
Let me look it up here real quick. It is...
It's one that can be watched on any device. If you got computers and phones and things, it can be watched.
Oh, it's direct through Paramount.
Okay.
So maybe the Paramount Plus app, I don't know. You don't have to have an account. You don't have to buy anything. But the first 5 people, only got 5 of them, 5 people that email me at email@horrorguys.com will get a free streaming Paramount copy of A Quiet Place Day 1 that we reviewed last week.
And we liked.
We did.
We would recommend, yeah. I thought and that's one where afterward, the more I think about it, it's like, yeah, I really did like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have been nicer if we could have given these away last week. Mm-hmm. But the Paramount people are a little bit slow. It's not even our fault this time.
That's all right.
All right. So yeah, 5 free copies. Email at horrorguys.com. Give us a ring and we will send you the streaming codes.
You betcha.
Meanwhile, back at the Horror Guys warehouse. Mm-hmm. Horror Guys Labs, Horror Guys Dungeon. Where are we today?
Oh, we're in the labs.
Okay, the Horror Guys Labs. We have done 5 movies and 4 shorts for you this week. Mm-hmm. What do we got?
Oh, we have the brand new Lore, which is an indie film.
Yeah.
And Humane from 2024. A Cronenberg production, but not the David kind.
Not the Cronenberg you're expecting.
Not the David Cronenberg.
We have Cronenbergs at home.
An offspring of Cronenberg, yeah. The Midnight Meat Train from 2008 and Lord of Illusions from 1995, a couple of Clive Barker offerings. And, 1986's Rawhead Rex.
It's Clive Barker week.
Also courtesy of Clive Barker.
We didn't have enough movies to do a whole 5 movie series of him.
And then
we've done a lot of his stuff in the past.
And then we got 4 tasty shorts that we're going to discuss briefly and steer you toward.
We are. First up, we have Humane from 2024, directed by Caitlin Cronenberg. Yes, that's his daughter. Written by Michael Sparaga, stars Jay Baruchel, Emily Hampshire, and Peter Gallagher. Hour and 33 minutes, trailer in the show notes.
Spoiler free?
Spoiler free.
Well, we went into this blind, and we're very glad of it. It sets up the state of the world very quickly in a possible near future. Kind of science fiction-y, kind of not. It's pretty realistic, maybe. It focuses on one wealthy family with many issues to start with. They're kind of dysfunctional. And then things get way more complicated. And we're pulled along wondering how things are going to end up and who's going to survive and how. And we both give it a strong thumbs up.
Yeah, definitely liked it. Uh-huh. It was one of those ones we talked about for several days after watching it.
David Cronenberg makes a voiceover cameo in it, too.
He does. Yeah. I wouldn't watch it just for that, though.
No. Watch it for the movie.
No, I've heard read a lot online about this and people complaining one way or the other that it's just too political.
Well...
Climate change, end of the world stuff. So there's some politics mentioned, but it's not really that political, I didn't think.
It's not the main focus of it. No.
Yeah. Well, again, it's new. You probably haven't seen it, so we're not going to spoil it to
We'll
death.
just give you a little taste.
Just a little taste, yeah. Well, we hear news reports of catastrophic environmental collapse. Things have gotten bad. There are now population reduction goals to cull off 20% of the population.
Oof, worldwide. Every country has
to
give 20% of their population up.
Credits roll as we see masked people in white suits carrying bodies out of houses. There are posters everywhere asking people to enlist in a euthanasia program. Well, Charles York talks to his wife Dawn about moving the piano upstairs into the bedroom. They're not saying something, but they're both crying. Jared, Charles's oldest son, is interviewed on a TV show saying he'd let his 10-year-old enlist, which gets him a lot of flack from the other relatives.
Yeah, it does.
Children really aren't allowed to enlist yet.
Right. Yeah. There's
Yet.
there's an age limit. Yeah.
Rachel arrives with her daughter Mia, and Charles said that this was supposed to be an adults-only meeting. But she brought her kid, which somebody always does.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have an adults-only meeting and somebody brings their kid every doggone time.
Almost every time. Yeah.
Well, Noah, Charles's other son, calls Grace and says he doesn't want to go tonight. Ashley picks him up anyway, and they both whine about how hard it is to get an acting job. None of them know why Charles has invited them tonight.
So the 4 kids are a mix of success, and 2 of them are in the news, not necessarily in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everyone finally arrives, and Dawn serves the fancy meal she's prepared. Charles apologizes for working late so many nights when they were all growing up. He's a retired newscaster.
Mm-hmm.
He's Walter Cronkite, I think.
Basically, yeah.
He's kind of weird, and all the kids notice it. There's something off. Charles announces that he and Dawn have chosen to enlist. The government is talking about drafting people for euthanasia, and he doesn't want any of them to have to do it. And Jared says those rules are for poor people, not people like them. None of the kids take the news well. Well, there are pro-enlistment ads on TV. And who does the voice for that?
David Cronenberg.
And the voluntary enlistment number is supposedly under 9%.
So they need to boost it up.
Or that's what we're being told anyway.
Or do they? Yeah.
The discussion soon gets political when they mention a whole bunch of undocumented immigrants volunteering for the cash payment.
Yeah, and it's a big old payment.
$300,000?
I think it was $250,000.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because there was a couple talking about doing it together that was getting $500,000 for their kids. Yeah. So the poor and the desperate and the undocumented. So there is some political,
I guess, yeah.
some fishiness. Like, okay, this is a way to call the lowest denominator in society. That, and the rich people, they're less likely to need this money. So yeah, there's some controversy going on, and so there's some political stuff in it.
Yeah. Well, the whole disaster has been blamed on the Asians, and Dawn, who is an Asian, her restaurant was burned to the ground because of it. Jared works for the government, and he's all in on the conservative point of view. Well, Charles goes into the kitchen and finds a note from Dawn. I can't do it. The doorbell rings, and it's Bob, the euthanasia guy, who has shown up a little early. He's friendly, chatty, and jokey about the whole thing, until he finds out that Dawn has vanished. And things go south from there.
Yeah, they do. But
Yeah.
he is something
He's something,
else.
yeah.
He's into his job.
Is he, though?
Yeah, he is.
Well, we'll find
but
out.
It gets more complicated than that, too. Yeah.
Well, okay, Bob may be the nicest horror movie villain ever. I suspect if the government ever did decide to kill 20% of the population, that it'd be a lot messier and over a lot faster than it's shown here. You think?
Well,
Rioting in the streets and everybody murdering each other?
The way they're rolling it out, though, murder and somebody is still murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there is a lot of political discussion in this one, but most of it's played for laughs or shock value. It's sort of like a cross between Fahrenheit 451 and, believe it or not, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies from a few months back.
Yeah, some of that, yeah.
With a lot of humor thrown in. I think we both definitely liked it.
Yeah, I think so. I kept thinking that the future portrayed isn't likely in all suspects, but it's possible.
I don't think any government would agree to that.
Some of the aspects are,
There would be a
it's
major
bit of a stretch.
overthrow of whoever proposed that.
Well, all the governments agreed to it.
That don't matter.
No.
If all the governments in the world did that, the Americans would just, whoever's in charge would not last long.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I thought it gave it a little bit of a realistic feel.
Okay.
And I liked how it unfolded and couldn't really guess ahead of time how things were going to happen.
Nope.
Yeah, so that was very entertaining. Everything came together really well, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say best of the week.
I'm going to give it that too.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Then we're going to start with a couple of Clive Barker specials.
I don't know if I can give it the best of the week because Lord of Illusions is there.
Yeah, okay.
And
We differ
Train.
on
And Midnight
Orville.
Meat Train is there.
We differ on both of these movies.
Okay. How about best of the new movies?
I don't know. I liked Lore too.
Yeah. It's hard to choose.
It's a hard week to
choose this
choose.
week. Yeah.
Midnight Meat Train from 2008, directed by Rawhead Kitamura, written by Jeff Bueller and Clive Barker, stars Vinnie Jones, Bradley Cooper, and Leslie Bibb. This is back when Bradley Cooper was getting second billing under a guy who doesn't even speak.
Yeah.
Hour and 40 minutes, trailer in the show notes.
He has one line.
Yes, he does.
Vinnie Jones does. Yeah.
Spoiler free.
Spoiler?
No, I'll do spoiler free.
You can do spoiler free.
We're kind of a split opinion on this one, with me not caring for it too much, and Kevin sure that it fits somewhere in his top 100. It is very gory and bloody, dark and creepy, with a bit of mystery going on, but most things are explained in the end. Yeah, I would say it's, if you really like Hellraiser, it's the same universe, but with different stuff going on.
Same vibe, yeah.
Very same vibe, yeah.
I suppose I should spoil that.
I suppose you should.
I'm going to spoil the heck out of it. A bald man wakes up on a subway train alone at night. He slips and falls into a puddle of blood. He struggles to get up and then notices a man in the next car killing someone excessively. And credits roll. And then we cut to Leon, a crime photographer, who goes home to talk to Maya. She's made arrangements with Jurgis, an artist friend of theirs, to let Leon meet Susan Hoff tomorrow morning. This is a huge deal.
He's a struggling photographer, and she's trying to get him a job.
Well, he wants to be an artist about it.
Yes.
Not just a job. Well, Susan, she wants to know more about Leon's work. He says he wants to capture the heart of the city. And she says, well, you're failing. She says he doesn't go far enough and dismisses him. Well, we cut to blurry flashes of the bloody train. Jurgis says it's encouraging that she did give him a little time, which means she sees potential. So Leon gonna keep at it. He goes out at night with his camera and takes some photos. He interrupts a woman getting mugged and takes photos of her and the thugs. They come after Leon, but leave when they see a security camera. The woman thanks him, then runs downstairs to the subway and gets on the train, where a big man with a hammer kills her from behind. In the morning, Leon reads the paper and sees the woman he rescued was murdered. She was a model, kind of a big deal. Well, he goes to the police, and the detective thinks that Leon might be a stalker. Susan, on the other hand, really likes the photos of the mugging and the thugs. She says, get 2 more images that strong, and you'll be a part of her next show. So he's really going to keep at it now. On the subway, one man tells a couple about how modern and safe the subways are today. Until the big man from before knocks out the man's eyeball with his hammer and then goes after the other 2. Well, Leon is out with his camera again. This time he gets a photo of the big man as he emerges from the subway. He sees that the man is wearing an odd ring, and the man notices Leon as well. Later, he sees a hand wearing that ring in one of the photos he took of the mugging victim. In the morning, Leon starts following the man when he comes out of his hotel. He follows him to where he works in a slaughterhouse as a butcher. That night, the man is oddly calm, doesn't make any unnecessary moves as he waits for just the right subway train. Leon tries to follow him, but is delayed by an overzealous security guard. On the train, the man does his thing again and whacks a man, but he gets sick in the middle of it, and the man fights back. There's quite a battle between the two, and it even gets the attention of the train driver. Well, the driver comes back and shoots the victim to finish him off, and then says, I'm very disappointed in you, Mahogany. Now clean up the mess.
Oh, driver's in on it.
They're in on it. Yeah, this is a special train, apparently. Well, meanwhile, Leon goes home and proposes to Maya. Afterward, he dreams of the murder train, but this time it's he who is the killer, and not the big guy. Well, we cut to the big guy, Mahogany, as he cuts growths off that look like barnacles from his own chest. He's either really tough or it doesn't hurt, and he saves the little pieces in a jar.
You never know when those are going to come in handy.
Yeah. Well, Leon starts researching murderous butchers going all the way back to 1895. He continues to follow Mahogany at work at the meat processing plant, except Mahogany spots him and chases him around hundreds of hanging sides of beef with a huge knife. Leon eventually escapes, goes to his regular diner, and orders steak. Well, he was a vocal vegan before, so something has changed. Maya complains that Leon has become obsessed with the butcher when he should be working. He's got a crazy wall about missing people, and he thinks Mahogany has been butchering them all. Maya comes to the conclusion that Leon's losing his mind over conspiracy theories, and he's not wrong. She's not wrong. Well, they're both not wrong. He's losing his mind, and he's onto a conspiracy.
You can be crazy and right sometimes.
You can, yeah. But he's starting to crack around the edges. Leon continues to follow Mahogany on the train at night. Two young men board the train, and Mahogany takes out his hammer. Leon cringes behind a seat and watches him kill them. He takes many photos of the men being dissected. Mahogany removes the men's teeth, fingernails, and eyeballs, shaves their heads, and then hangs them upside down naked like sides of beef. And then he turns and smiles at Leon before knocking him out. Leon awakens, upside down, hanging from the ceiling. And he's shirtless, he's not naked. Monsters come and tear at his flesh. It's kind of a dreamy, hallucinatory thing, but he wakes up again, this time in the basement of the meat processing plant. He goes home to Maya, and there's strange runes carved into his chest. And it's the same symbol that's on Mahogany's ring. Maya and Jurgis, well, they go to Mahogany's hotel room to get Leon's camera back. She finds his murdering tools, knives, and other nastiness, such as his medicine cabinet full of scabs. Jurgis does find the camera, but Mahogany returns and kills him. Maya runs away and goes to the police, but they aren't helpful at all. Maya goes to the diner and takes her boss's pistol. Meanwhile, Leon goes to Susan's big art show. This is his big break. He's got one of the scary photos of Mahogany on display, except he walks away as if he's in a trance. "I got a train to catch," he says. Well, the police detective stops Maya, and she knows more than she should. She tells Maya which train Jurgis is on. And if you notice, the detective is wearing a pendant with that same symbol that Mahogany has on the ring.
Uh-huh.
It's a conspiracy, and the detective is in on it. Well, Maya gets on that train. Meanwhile, Leon goes to the meat processing plant and grabs some big knives. He goes to the abandoned subway stop beneath the plant and boards the special train when it comes by. Maya finds the butchered bodies hanging there and freaks out. Jurgis is there. He's not quite dead yet. She shoots at Mahogany, but he knocks her down. He's just about to smash her with the hammer when Leon yells from the other side of the train car. And the two men start fighting amongst the bodies. It's a messy, brutal battle. And this goes on for a while until Leon pushes Mahogany out the door. Well, Maya goes to Leon, who is in shock. The train finally slows down and stops, and the lights go out. The driver comes in and tells them, "Step away from the meat." Monsters enter the train and start eating the bodies. Leon and Maya get off the train as the creatures eat their meal. Mahogany's not dead. He shuffles in, and the two men fight some more. They throw skulls at each other. There's a bunch of bodies here that have accumulated over the years. Yeah, this has been going on for a while. Leon goes berserk and kills Mahogany, who says one word, "Welcome," before dying. The driver says, "He didn't have what it takes anymore. I envy you." The driver then pulls out Leon's tongue and eats it. He explains how long this has been going on, even since before humanity existed. They feed the monsters a little as an act of worship in exchange for power and to keep them in check. And the driver then cuts Maya open and pulls out her heart, which kind of was a finality for Leon to cut his last tie to the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we cut to later as Leon puts on the ring and a suit. The detective gives Leon a bus schedule, and he gets to work. He's Mahogany's replacement on the midnight meat train.
Alrighty then.
Yeah.
Well, the gore shots in this one are pretty exceptional. There's a lot of gore in this.
And it's pretty good, yeah.
As you mentioned, the detective is wearing a necklace with the same symbol as Mahogany's ring, and later she gives Leon his train schedule, so she's obviously in on it as well. I didn't care for this one too much. It's kind of long and it's kind of slow. It's one of those slow descent into madness stories, but we know from the beginning this time that the killer is real. Sometimes it's is he crazy or is it real? And we know what's going on here.
It's real.
We also don't find out until the very end why Mahogany has been killing all those people. And even then, it's a little rushed and vague. Who are these creatures? Why are they...
They have always been there.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, but you better feed them a little or they're going to start eating a lot. So
I want to see that movie.
Yeah. Anyway, I really like this one a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. It's just not one of my favorites.
Okay.
To which takes us to 1986's Rawhead Rex. Sounds like fun. Sounds like a good dog name, doesn't it?
It does. Rawhead Rex.
Directed by George Pavlo, written by Clive Barker, stars David Dukes, Kelly Piper, and Hugh O'Connor. Hour and 29 minutes. Trailer in the usual place. Spoiler free, what happens?
Well, this was just okay. And
I remember this being better than it was.
I did too, yeah. I like the story that it's based on more than the movie, I think. Yeah. An ancient creature arises from where it was imprisoned and has to be dealt with again. So the premise is solid enough, but it wasn't a great movie back in the day, and it hasn't held up well. It's, I mentioned the short story by Clive Barker, which is really excellent, but they kind of stretched it into a full-length movie. And it's said that Clive Barker himself wasn't pleased with how it turned out.
Otherwise known as a guy in a rubber mask terrorizes a village.
Pretty much. Tell us about it.
Well, we open on some men working in a field as Howard Hallenbach drives into town. He stops at a small local church and takes photos of the graveyard. 2 of the 3 workmen give up and go home, but that third really wants that stone obelisk out of his field. A storm rolls in, and the obelisk leaks some kind of smoke or gas as lightning strikes it. What a coincidence. All at once, the obelisk falls over, and a woman in the church starts screaming randomly. A monster rises up out in the field and kills the man who released it.
So the lesson here is if you find an obelisk half buried in the field,
Leave
it there. It's there for a reason.
Howard talks to Declan O'Brien and says that Reverend Coote
Yeah.
gave him permission to do some research about the old church. Not long after, O'Brien touches the church altar and gets a vision. He pulls his seared hand away and laughs maniacally. Howard takes his wife Elaine and 2 annoying children to the Tall Man Inn. I kept waiting for a Phantasm reference, but there wasn't one.
There wasn't, just that.
She really wants to get out of this backwater town and just go to Dublin like civilized people. Farmer Dennis notices his barn door is swinging in the breeze. Literally. Not the figurative barn door. Someone has broken the lock. A very large humanoid monster then tears him to pieces and goes after Jenny, the man's pregnant wife, when she screams too loudly. Rawhead tracks her down and tries to kill her baby, but he doesn't.
Yeah, it's like he's repelled or somehow. Yeah.
A man stops by later and sees all the damage, and he then finds Jenny inside there, and she's gone insane. Well, the detectives are amazed that Jenny survived the vicious home invasion. Dennis's body is simply gone, so they're not sure what happened to him. Rawhead then looks into a mobile home and sees the people inside. Andy and Katrina make out in the woods, while Andy's little brother Neil watches Rawhead eating Dennis.
Yum.
It attacks the couple, and Andy loses his arm. Howard's out taking a walk, and he gets a good look at Rawhead. They kind of see each other. The police find the dead man on the field next to the obelisk. Well, that makes 3. Howard goes to the police and tells them what he saw. A 9-foot-tall thing that's not human with burning red eyes. Surprisingly, they don't believe him.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Howard talks to Reverend Coote about the parish records, but they've all suddenly gone missing. O'Brien is there, and he's looking a little more and more sketchy, like a man possessed.
Getting kind of maniacal.
He finds a cryptic message about fear in the stained glass windows. Then O'Brien smashes his camera. Howard, Elaine, and the kids check out of the inn, bound for Dublin at last. Elaine sees something weird out in the field. Turns out it's just a scarecrow. Meanwhile, young Neil draws a picture of the monster for police. He must have seen it. Minty, Howard's daughter. Who names their kid Minty?
Minty. It's really a nickname.
Howard's daughter needs to get out of the car and pee, so they stop the car and let her go in a field. Of course, she goes way off behind a bush somewhere where no sensible parent would let her go. For all they know, there's bulls or vicious animals in this field.
But no, just dead rabbits.
Well, she screams at the sight of a dead rabbit, and when both parents run to protect her, Rawhead stalks Robbie in the car, who's completely oblivious until it's too late.
Uh-oh.
Yes, a monster finally gets to eat the annoying kid.
Yep, he does.
Now the police believe Howard about the monster. Howard keeps going back to the church's stained glass window that shows a red-faced monster. O'Brien talks about how people buried the devil alive. The dark ones come back. They always do. He believes the thing in the stained glass window is what killed his son. He suggests that the church was built on something far older. Reverend Coote touches the altar and gets a burn on his hand, too.
There's something in the altar.
Rawhead then proves that he's the worst thing to hit trailer parks since tornadoes were invented. This time, the police do arrive in a timely manner. Rawhead grabs the police detective and hypnotizes him with his red glowing eyes. Hey, that's not fair.
No, now he's got another minion.
O'Brien summons Rawhead, who pees all over him as Coote watches. What?
Ew.
Yeah, he does.
Yep, he does.
Coote calls the police as Rawhead comes after him. Everyone rushes to the church while Coote and O'Brien argue about who they serve. Coote holds Rawhead at bay with a cross for maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's not so effective.
And then it kills him. As the police stand around arguing, the chief detective pours gasoline onto the cops and sets them all on fire, including himself. Howard can't wait any longer and runs up to the church, but most people are already dead. Coote tells Howard that there's something wrong with the altar. O'Brien attacks Howard, but Howard's a tough American, so that doesn't last long. You can't beat Americans. Howard grabs the altar and gets burned as well, but then he pries it open, revealing a rock inside. Howard brings the rock to Rawhead, but Rawhead eats O'Brien first. Elaine shows up as Rawhead terrorizes Howard, and she activates the magic rock. Howard says it had to be a woman.
Well, it's
a phallic-shaped rock or something, isn't it?
It's a fertility. It's a fertility goddess.
Okay.
And that's Rawhead's weakness, is the female fertility. That's why he couldn't kill the pregnant woman with her baby. And the power of the stone can only be activated by a woman. Yeah.
Well, the rock activates the headstones in the cemetery, and eventually Rawhead is swallowed up by the earth. Later, we cut to Andy's funeral with his annoying little brother there. Rawhead climbs up out of the grave right in front of him.
He's back already?
Rawhead 2.
Could be.
The film that was never made.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, the monster is very, very obviously a tall guy in a rubber mask, but it's kind of handled all right. The acting, especially from David Dukes, who plays Howard, is really dull and bland. It's very talky and stretched out. This guy, it's like they took him from a pudding commercial or something.
Oh, that's a good
This
comparison.
is not a leading man. If you liked 80s creature features, it's not terrible, but the monster effects have not held up well.
No, I didn't think so either.
Pudding. Which takes us to Lord of Illusions from 1995, written and directed by Clive Barker.
He was a little disappointed by his previous adaptations, and he took the helm this time around.
And he learned that directing is hard.
Yeah.
Stars Scott Bakula, Kevin J. O'Connor, J. Trevor Edmond, and Famke Janssen. Hour and 49 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. Spoiler free, it's a tale of magic and good versus evil with a splash of noir thrown in. There are some slow places and some pretty cool places. After some disappointments with his previous adaptations, Clive Barker took the helm on this one, and if you can obtain his author-director commentary track, It's very interesting to hear what he's got to say.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the special effects are very dated, but it does tell a good story. Kevin is very fond of this one, sticking with it as one of his top 100 horrors, but I was a little meh. Yeah, it's a story.
Yeah.
Feels like a made-for-TV story.
Okay.
I think I watched this on the Sci-Fi Channel when it came out, and it was cut to death, and
Oh.
I don't think I ever recovered from that.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
Well, you'll have to see it for yourself to decide.
Yeah. Is
Right.
Kevin right or is Brian right?
Yeah. Well, what happens?
Well, we open on a very rundown farmhouse in the desert in 1982. Nix, the leader, does a whole magic show where the Dark One has renamed him the Puritan. He holds fire in his bare hand until Swan and his friends arrive with guns. Nix has kidnapped a girl, tied up in one corner, and there's a colorful baboon in another. Nix wants Swan to beg him for power. Nix digs his fingers into Swan's head and gives him God's eyes. Swan looks at his friends, but he sees them as monsters now. He's in the process of transferring his power to Swan when the kidnapped girl shoots Nix in the back. That doesn't kill Nix, so they put his whole head in a complex iron mask to bind him, and Nix does appear to die.
Why did they have that mask? Where did that mask come from?
They knew they were going to need it to bind him.
I want one.
They knew they were going to need it because he was a nasty feller. Well, 13 years later, in New York City, Detective Harry D'Amour gets a visit from Loomis. Harry is well known for investigating occult things, and he's just recently finished up a exorcism where a kid was possessed and he saved him. We flash back to his dealings with that a little bit. Well, Loomis wants Harry to find Mr. Tappert in L.A. It sounds like a pretty mundane private eye gig.
They always do.
Yeah. He's cheating on his insurance, supposedly, this guy. And he needs somebody to go. So, to L.A., and we see a billboard for Swan the Magician. He's come up in the world since that encounter in the farmland. He follows Tappert to a fortune teller downtown. Harry follows him inside and is attacked by a crazy man who bites him. The fortune teller, Quaid, was one of the people who shot Nix, is full of knives like a pincushion. Also there is Butterfield, who used to hang out with Nix. Before he dies, the fortune teller gives Harry a quick palm reading, and he says the Puritan is coming home. Well, we cut to Philip Swan and his wife, Dorothea, the little kidnapped girl, all grown up. She tells her assistant, Valentin, their assistant, he's like a butler, all-purpose assistant, go find Harry for her, which takes him about 2 minutes. Valentin says Swan is no magician. He's an illusionist. Magic is real. Illusion is trickery. So he's denying that Swan has powers, but we know he kind of does. Dorothea wants to hire Harry to protect Swan from something she doesn't understand. Swan saw that Quaid was killed in the paper, and he thinks that these people are coming for him. Well, that night, Swan gives a show, and Harry is invited to sit with Dorothea. And it's a great big, huge,
It's like a big Vegas show.
Yeah, it is, but in L.A. Yeah. And there's dancers and special effects, and when Swan makes his big appearance, Butterfield is there as well behind the scenes. Swan does a knife trick that goes brutally wrong, and he's killed. The audience screams and runs away, except for Dorothea, who takes it badly.
Did he make a mistake? Did Butterfield sabotage it? We don't know.
Well, Harry sneaks under the stage and encounters Butterfield and his sharp-toothed associate again. They want to know who killed Swan. It wasn't them. He died before they could get to him. Well, there's a fight, and Butterfield's creepy friend is killed very dramatically. Well, following the clues, Harry goes to the Magic Castle, a place where all the stage magicians seem to hang out. He meets Walter Wilder, an old illusionist who's good with cards. He sends him to see Vinovich, another illusionist. Vinovich says that everything Swan did was tainted. He was evil. One of Vinovich's guests, Billy Who, suggests that Harry check out a guy who used to be called Nix.
Now, this is one of the things I don't believe about this show.
What's that?
All the magicians, all the special, high-paid, secretive magicians would all just hang out in a club doing tricks for each other.
Yeah.
These guys would hate each other. They're the competition.
They're in competition, yeah.
You know, they've got the clubs in LA where all the big famous singers hang out together, right? And they sing like karaoke to each other.
Well, there is really a place called the Magic Castle.
I don't think it's like this, where
But I
they only
doubt
allow
it's-
magicians in.
I doubt it's quite like this.
Yeah, this isn't a place where people go to watch the magicians. This is a place where the magicians hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Bull.
You don't buy it? Well, Harry asks Dorothea about Nix, and she definitely remembers him, but lies about it. Valentin then offers Harry $30,000 to go home. Harry goes to see Jennifer, one of the other people from the raid on Nix's place. She's in an asylum, and she blames Swan, who told her that all was done and finished, but it's not. She tells him about Nix, who is coming back, and then Jennifer runs out in front of a car and is killed. We cut to various people we recognize as Nix's old cultists walking around and killing people around the country. Dorothea awaits Harry's call, but Valentine isn't letting his calls through. Billy helps Harry break into the Magic Castle's secret room. They get hidden files, but only barely. There are books and drawings about Nix. Some kind of apparition scares Barry. I can't talk.
Billy.
It's a tongue twister. Some kind of apparition scares Billy. Yeah, it's like a hologram. But Harry sees right through that and shoots the projector. So Harry goes back to Dorothea's house, and she has Swan's coffin set up. She's been lying to him, and he wants to know about Nix. Well, it turns out Nix did teach Swan some real magic. And as they have sex, Valentin calls someone on the phone. Harry gets chased around the house by a CGI creature and fire that follows him around.
It's not very good.
It really is obvious CGI, yeah. Harry then pries open Swan's coffin and finds the body inside is rubber and plaster. Swan's not dead. Later, Valentin admits that Swan faked his own death to avoid being killed for real. So, Harry stakes out Swan's funeral and follows a man to a secret place. Sure enough, it's Swan, who couldn't resist attending his own funeral. He levitates a car over Harry's head and drops it, but changes his mind about killing Harry at the last moment. He's angry that Harry is banging Dorothea, but knows Harry can help. Well, Butterfield nabs Valentin and tortures him for the location of where Nix is buried. Meanwhile, the cultists return to their cult house, awaiting for Nix. Butterfield kidnaps Dorothea, too. So Harry and Swan team up. They're going to rescue her. Butterfield and Dorothea head out to the burial place to resurrect Nix. Valentin digs in the desert while Dorothea tries, unsuccessfully, to escape. And Nix, in fact, does indeed turn up. The cultists, and there's a lot of them now, shave their heads and look to Butterfield as their leader. As Butterfield removes the iron mask, Nix regenerates fairly quickly.
He still doesn't look good.
He doesn't look good, but he is up and about. He offers his followers the wisdom of the grave, and then clouds come out of his forehead. It rains, and all the cultists sink into the mud, mostly. Some are just stuck in the floor. Meanwhile, Swan and Butterfield fight, but Swan has magic on his side. Harry runs from room to room looking for Dorothea, and eventually finds her and Nix. Swan is right behind him, and soon the two magicians talk about joining forces. But they fight. Nix quickly beats Swan and then goes after Harry. Dorothea shoots Nix right in that hole in his forehead. Naturally, gets right up again and goes after Dorothea. They watch Nix transform into something terrible, but in the meantime, Swan levitates Harry to push Nix into a bottomless tunnel to hell, conveniently placed there in the middle of the floor. Harry and Dorothea run outside as something comes out of the pit and dissolves Swan's body. Finally, Nix explodes and the hole seals shut.
Oh, it was only like 8 hours long. My goodness, it's a long movie.
There's a lot to it. A lot happens.
Clive Barker had such bad luck with his previous films that he insisted on directing this one himself. It's mostly about the difference between stage illusionists and real magicians. The acting is good, the film looks good all around, but it drags in places.
I didn't think so.
It's one of Kevin's favorite movies, definitely in his top 100 horror. I thought it was overlong, and there were too many leads to follow up. The special effects don't hold up at all, but there's not enough of them to worry about. You can get by with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As you read this, I was thinking about what made this movie so damn boring to me, and I think it's Scott Bakula.
You don't like him?
I think he's just... Why, I made the pudding commercial comment before.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, he's never been in anything good, has he?
Yeah, this. And other things.
I like Quantum Leap, but only
Okay.
because he wasn't himself in any of those episodes. He's always somebody different.
Okay. He was in Enterprise. He was the captain.
The weakest of all the Star Trek series, arguably.
Okay. I like it. I like Scott Bakula.
Okay.
I like this movie. So there.
And now our indie film of the week is called Lore 2024, directed by various people because it's an anthology. James Bushy, Patrick Michael Ryder, and Greg Johnson. Written by Patrick Michael Ryder, Christine Barber Ryder, and James Bushy. Stars Richard Brake, Andrew Lee Potts, Ben Crumpton, and a bunch of other people. Hour and 27 minutes.
A lot of recognizable faces.
Yeah. Mildly recognizable faces. It's not a big film, but it's got some people in it that you're going to recognize.
Yeah.
Spoiler free.
This is an anthology of short tales with a good wraparound story. 4 people camping in the woods with a guide have scary stories to tell around the campfire. And that's just harmless fun, right?
They think so.
Yep. Well, this was consistently good through all the sections. We really liked it a lot.
Yeah, there's 4 main stories, and usually whether it's an anthology, one of them's stupid and one of them's really good, and the other 2 are kind of filler, but this one,
These
they
were
were all pretty
consistently-
equal. Yeah, they were all
yeah.
consistently decent.
Very tasty. Liked it. Yeah.
Credits roll as the 4 hikers walk across a field toward the woods. Every year they go on an immersive experience, and this year is supposed to be something scary. They follow a map until they come to a man named Darwin who smiles creepily. And he does. He's a creepy looking dude.
Mm-hmm. He plays the part good.
He's a bit scary himself, but then he says these 4 are the only attendees and they should set up their tents. This experience will stay with you for the rest of your lives. Then he tells them about a 1993 party that found some skulls nearby. After an investigation, they found 3,500 dead bodies. Nobody knows who they were. He talks about an ancient evil that lived in this place long before men came here, and he has a totem that allows him to communicate with the dead. Who's brave enough to talk to the dead? He wants them to tell the stories to these totems about things that scare them. And there's 4 campers, and each of them tells their story.
And there's 4 short stories.
One of them's about shadows. One, I didn't actually title these.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, there's 4 short stories
There's
and,
four
a
short
little bit of a
stories.
wraparound. And I'm not going to tell you the stories. You're going to have to watch it yourself. If you don't want to watch it, you can read our full synopsis on the site, but it's worth watching.
We liked it a lot.
In the first story, there may or may not have been an actual monster.
Mm-hmm.
The second one with a ghost is really well done. I thought that dancer ghost was a really cool effect.
Yeah, it was.
It's
Yeah.
sort of jerky, transparent. It's neat.
Uh-huh.
The cultists, or whatever they are, in the third story are also very cool looking. I like those masks. The fourth story is more or less of a comedy, but it's a good send-up of your usual slasher movies. And all 4 of the creatures in all 4 of the things, they all have a creature, are all well done. And of course, in the movie theater segment, that 4th segment, you can see posters for the other things. One of them's got the shadow creature, and there's little posters for all of them on the walls.
So
But you got to be watching.
yeah, watching the background in the movie theater.
Yeah. And it's probably the only time you'll ever see death by popcorn scoop. Richard Brake, as Darwin, the camp host, has something creepy to say between each segment, and he is absolutely perfect here. The rest of the actors, mostly I didn't recognize, but they do well with what they have, and none of the segments feel dragged out or padded.
No, they were all really good.
Yeah, a lot of it's hard to get an anthology just balanced just right, but this one did.
Yep, excellent.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I liked it. I loved it. Basically, I'm looking at my commentary, and I already said all those things.
Oh, okay.
It was good.
It was good.
It wasn't hit and miss. Everything came together. They had really good locations too. The one is in a warehouse kind of space, and the one is in a movie theater, and the locations that they had were nice. Yeah.
Okay.
Big thumbs up.
And now on to our short films. Start out this one with one from 2023 called Lovely. Written and directed by Naomi Shroff-Mehta. Stars Ashwini Ganpool, Susie Abraham, and Elise Ahmad. 16 minutes and 19 seconds. There's a link to watch it on YouTube. What happens?
Well, Rhea and her mother run a convenience store, and they keep stock in the basement, which doesn't have electricity. And when it's time to go down there, Rhea's mother insists that Rhea stay out of the basement. Also, her mother offers Rhea some face cream to make her more beautiful. Seems to be working. But when Rhea runs out, well, the extra bottles are down in the basement. So what's a girl to do? And this is a real thing in India. The face creams lightening.
Well, this is what I wonder, because she put this cream on, and it's so much better. It's so much better. I saw no difference.
Oh, you could tell.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, later, more so. But you could.
It's whitening cream, right?
She was wearing makeup that you could tell. Yeah, but that's a real thing where beauty is considered pale. In India, that's a thing, and they have face lightening creams that they advertise. Use this and you'll be beautiful and you'll be better, and things like that.
Well, we were halfway through this, and I was fully expecting to write this up comparing it to that Black Mirror episode with the face cream.
Oh, okay.
It didn't go that way. It did something completely different.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, her mother goes on and on about how it's working, but there's going to be a price to be paid. The woman in the basement is obviously up to something, and we soon see what it is. Sometimes your overbearing and overprotective mother just could be right. Sometimes.
Yeah.
It's good. It's worth a watch.
Uh-huh.
What's next?
Next up is my favorite of the shorts, The Sound, from 2021, which was written and directed by Patrick Stagg and stars just one guy, Marcus Klein. Runtime is 11 minutes, 43 seconds.
Yeah.
And, of course, available on YouTube.
And I think you said 2021. It's a couple years old, so yeah.
A
lot of these shorts we bypassed at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a man takes a break from digging in the backyard, comes inside for a drink of water, and starts hearing an odd ticking sound. Or is it knocking? Could it be a drip? What is that sound?
He can't find it anywhere.
And it sounds different from time to time. I thought initially it was a clock, and then it sounded like pounding, and then it sounded like dripping, and it's just different.
But it's constant no matter where he goes.
He starts searching for the source of the strange sound, and the situation devolves from there.
Uh-huh.
Well, when it ends, it's clearly inspired by an Edgar Allan Poe story, but I didn't see that coming, which is good, I guess. Did you see it coming?
I did not, no.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this sound?
But then we find out. It is explained.
Yeah, I was expecting something a lot cheesier than it was, but the suspense pays off here.
Yeah.
There's only one actor and almost no dialogue until the end where they explain things, but it's very effective.
Yeah,
they do explain things.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about The Door? I think this is my favorite of the shorts this week.
Okay.
Directed by Andrew Froning. Written by Andrew Froning and Amanda Troisi. Again, 2022, not brand new. Stars Reba Landers, Brian Pollock, and Christopher Kai. 12 minutes, 27 seconds. What happens?
Well, Natasha goes to visit her weird Uncle Paul. He's definitely odd, and he insists that all doors either be open all the way or closed all the way.
There's a little sign in every room that says this.
Yeah.
Close the door or open it all the way.
And you gradually learn that it's not just a visit. She's there to live now. Well, he's obsessive about it. But why? He says the place is his penance, and he cannot leave. He's almost scary. Well, she goes up to her bedroom, but she's not really careful with the bathroom door and learns why he is the way he is and learns about the rule.
Sometimes you
And
can
why
be
it's
crazy
important.
and correct at the same time.
Uh-huh.
Well, Uncle Paul's definitely got a sling blade thing going on here.
Yeah, a little bit. Mm-hmm.
And it really works. He's good at it.
Yeah.
No one actually explains the situation, but we see it all unfold, and the rules soon make sense.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know why exactly, but we don't really need an explanation. We know what happens. We see where it's going, and it's good. I like this one.
It was good, yes.
And there is dialogue in this one for once.
Yes.
It's not so many of these shorts are just silent films.
They talk and exchange words.
They
yes.
do, yes. Takes us to the next one, 048 from 2024. Last week on the regular show, we watched the hotel horror movie 1408.
Mm-hmm.
And we should have had this one on with that because it's clearly inspired by that.
I think so. Yeah.
Written and directed by Luke Klorek. Stars Mason Sturgis, Lee McLeod, and Charlie Bettisworth. 10 minutes and a few seconds. Watch it on YouTube.
You know, and the thumbnail of it makes me think of Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean is on a poster on the wall,
Yes.
and he's got almost the same pose. I wonder how much that poster
Definitely inspired
this movie.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Well, Jake wakes up in the middle of the night to find Sydney knocking on his door. She says she saw someone in her room. She wants him to check it out. He does, and of course, there's no one there.
Until there is.
Yeah. This is like a dormitory kind of building, or
I was under the impression it was a hotel, but they've got posters and stuff on the walls like they live there.
Yeah, I think it's more of a dormitory situation.
All right.
That's how it seemed. That part is not really clear.
No.
Yeah.
Still, it's well paced. It looks good and it's unsettling. The acting could probably be a little bit better, but it's a good effort and it's fun to watch. As a student film, it's well done.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And yeah.
All four of these were definitely noteworthy.
Oh, none of these are stinkers this week, that's for sure.
No stinkers, yeah. All worth checking out.
We have no objection to putting stinkers short films on. It's one of those ones where we watch them so you don't have to sometimes.
Sometimes, and we'll try to be honest about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't pay us to review these things. If it sucks, we'll say so. We certainly do with all the regular movies. All right, well, that's it for this week. Stop in at horrorweekly.com and check out our free weekly newsletter. Sign up once and you get all our reviews in your email once a week, which is nice and free.
And don't forget about getting a chance to win a copy of
A Quiet Place, Day One. Yes.
Yeah, where it all began.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not such a quiet movie. I mean, there's a lot of.
Oh no, it's a very loud movie.
There's a lot of It's a very much a contrast because quickly they do figure out that you have to be quiet, but there's a lot of destruction and chaos. So it's a good mix. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, tune in next week where we will have more movies and more shorts and more of us.
Yay.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.